So I've decided to do an overall season review where I have a more general talk about the season as a whole, looking at the characters' development and any overarching plot points in the season. I also want to give a general sum up of my opinions on each serial and rank them. So season 1 started Doctor Who off quite strongly with a definitive mission statement. Wanting to be an educational show, the season is split into 4 science fiction serials and 4 historicals, with the order switching, with the only exception being Edge of Destruction following the Daleks, although this was due to the potential cancellation of the show at 13 episodes. And it's an even split with 21 episodes for each. But going forwards this will change, with historicals getting far less episodes a season when compared with the science fiction serials. Obviously when it comes to the quality of the serials, it's a bit mixed. An Unearthly Child has an incredibly strong first episode, one of the strongest in the show's history, but then becomes quite simple and dull for the rest of its run. It does have its themes and begins the quartet's journey, but it's nothing that sticks out beyond that. It feels like a general formula of Doctor Who without much added. Following that, the Daleks obviously introduced the incredibly iconic Daleks, who saved the show by pushing its ratings up and giving the show a chance to show what it was or could be capable of. A fun but slightly too long serial which slows towards the end, but when introducing an enemy so iconic that nearly took over the entire show, it's near impossible to overlook and complain about. Edge of Destruction is an excellent little serial, which could have ended the show if it had been cancelled. It brings the characters to an end of an arc, pushing them apart so that they can come together stronger and face whatever lies beyond the TARDIS doors next. If it didn't exist, I think the bond that forms between the quartet would be missing an important step in its development. It may be a messy story, but it's an important one. Next is Marco Polo, the definitive historical? Calling it the definitive historical may be a bit too far, given it's nearly twice as long as the others, giving it far more time to breathe. While it's almost certainly my favourite historical, and despite its length it doesn't feel like it's run out of steam before it reaches its conclusion, with plenty of elements at play, making it full to the brim. Like with the Daleks, it's the historical that set the standard for what these sorts of serials should do. Now can they please just find it before I go crazy? Literally anything, even the censor clips would be nice. The Keys of Marinus gives us the first whimper of the season, an ambitious serial which constantly changes location and characters, stretching the production team to its limits, and while it succeeds, a decent chunk ends up being forgettable, and lacking the same depth, which is seen in the other serials. But it is something different and does show what the people behind the scenes can do on limited time and money. The Aztecs is perhaps more worthy of the title of definitive historical, being the length of the majority of the historicals going forwards. It sets the framework for what these serials should do with its cast. While lacking in terms of exploring the good side of the Aztec society, it does start the show's dive into the concept of time travel and how it works within the universe. The final science fiction serial of the season, The Censorites, is a bit of a dud. While not unenjoyable and with a good message behind it, the motivations of characters are messy, and it leaves a lot to be desired. But it is the first to introduce a friendly alien race whose society we learn about. Although not the most logical society, being peaceful and yet having a disintegrator gun. It's still a fun watch, but maybe for all the wrong reasons. And to end the season we have The Reign of Terror, a dark and gritty serial with comedic moments and a lack of actual historical information reinforcing the events. While it's hurt by the lack of information, the dialogue and plot are still incredibly strong. It's got a few mysteries and twists and turns, and doesn't let up when it comes to its bluntness, a near perfect finale for the season. If I were to rank these serials from best to worst, in last place we have The Keys of Marinus, followed by The Censorites, then An Unearthly Child, The Daleks, The Reign of Terror, The Edge of Destruction, The Aztecs, and taking top spot, Marco Polo. We'll see if that changes though. When it comes to the quartet, we have a strong arc at the start, showing them coming together which runs through the first 3 serials, before allowing them to grow on their own. Ian stays mostly static, although calling the Doctor their leader and turning to him for his greater knowledge. He drives the plot of most serials and makes sure everyone gets out alive. He also shows off a surprising ability to fight against trained warriors, but that's neither here nor there. Barbara's curiosity gets the show going, and her knowledge of the past comes in useful on several occasions, with her arc allowing her to understand that time cannot be meddled with. The Aztecs show her the truth and let her understand her place as a time traveller. Susan on the other hand goes from a mysterious schoolgirl to a screaming child. I have to be honest and say that Susan really regressed as a character, losing her interesting side and becoming the screamer of the group. While there are hints of her alienness in some serials, this is completely overshadowed by her becoming a scared child. She does move past her fears in the Daleks to get the anti-radiation drugs from the TARDIS and crosses the icicle bridge in the Keys of Marinus, but beyond these rare moments she's a fearful character, although always excited to explore. The Doctor's arc is the biggest. He goes from a self-centred potential villain to a wiser and caring character. At the start he's willing to kill a wounded man just to save his own life, but learns the value of life from his companions. He creates a strong bond with his friends, seeing them as equals despite being far less advanced than him. But his arc is yet to end. The first production block for the show was 10 serials long, and only 8 of them were a part of the first season, so 2 serials remain for him. Overall, this is a great opening season for the show. While it does have its lesser science fiction serials, there's something to enjoy in all of them, whether that be a deep plot, well-rounded characters or unintentional humour. The serials each do their own thing and demonstrate the series' potential. The bar has been set high for the show going forward. Let's see if the second season can do better. But with season 1 over and done with, there will now be a 4-week break before I return with season 2.